I never thought a number would scare me more than a lap time. The shop is quiet tonight. There's the low hum of machinery somewhere down the hall, the kind of sound that fades into the background until everything else goes still. A phone sits on the desk, buzzing every few minutes with messages that go unanswered. Next to it, a family photo, 3 small faces, 1 quiet man behind the wheel of a career built on speed. Tonight isn't about speed. There's a decision coming, one that has nothing to do with trophies or point standings. It isn't about winning anymore. It's about something else entirely, something that doesn't show up on a stat sheet, something no championship trophy has ever been able to explain. What would you do if the sport that made you who you are started asking you to choose between it and everything else you love? For one driver, that question isn't hypothetical anymore. It's real, it's public, and it's already dividing an entire fan base. This is Kyle Larson's story. Kyle Larson, the 2-time Cup Series champion, currently sits 8th in the 2026 standings. Despite carrying one of the most decorated resumes in the sport, he finds himself in the longest winless stretch of his Hendrick Motorsports career. No trip to victory lane since Kansas Speedway in May 2025. He carries 26 Cup Series wins and 2 championships into a season that has, so far, refused to give him a third trip to the front of the field. More than 45 races have passed since his last win, a stretch long enough to raise questions about a driver once considered nearly untouchable. The chase is approaching in September, adding a ticking clock element to an already uncertain year. And now, into that uncertainty, comes a new number, 40. A milestone Larson has now publicly attached to his own future, though exactly what it means remains a mystery even to those closest to him. NASCAR Trackline TV is closing in on 1,500 subscribers, and if you want to be part of the conversation as this story continues to unfold, hitting that subscribe button helps get us there faster. Now, back to Larson, because this story only gets more complicated from here. Speaking candidly to motorsport.com in late July 2026, Larson delivered the quote that started it all. "I started saying this last year, but 40 is my next milestone. I want to get there and then evaluate if I want to keep going or be done." He didn't stop there. He followed it with a deeper layer, one tied not to lap times or points, but to something far more personal. "It all depends on where my kids are in their lives and interests." This wasn't a champion talking about chasing another title. This was a father measuring his career against the lives of his children. His family includes wife Caitlin Sweet and children Owen, 12, Audrey, 8, and Cooper, 3. All 3 growing up around the same racetracks that built their father's career from the ground up. Just weeks before his comments, Audrey won a non-wing junior Sprint A main race at Port City Raceway, proof that the next generation is already stepping into the spotlight her father once occupied alone. Here is where the story turns strange. Back in February, Larson signed a 5-year contract extension with Hendrick Motorsports, locking him in through 2031, 1 full year past the very milestone he just set for himself in public. Why would a driver sign a deal that outlasts his own self-imposed decision point by an entire season? Does Hendrick Motorsports already know something the fans don't? Is Larson leaving himself room to walk away early, contract or not, if his priorities shift sooner than expected? Or is 2031 simply insurance, a safety net, in case he decides to stay in the car longer than anyone currently expects? The contract promises commitment on paper. His public words suggest doubt in practice. Neither Larson nor the team has explained the contradiction, and that silence is exactly what's fueling the speculation across the garage and online. The story doesn't stop with Larson. Hendrick teammate Alex Bowman has already announced he will retire from full-time Cup competition after the 2027 season. Bowman is younger than Larson, and he has cited the physical toll of NASCAR along with a long-standing plan to step away by age 35. A plan that is now becoming reality in real time, right alongside Larson's own comments. If one Hendrick star is already walking away early, fans are left asking whether Larson's milestone comment is simply a personal update or a signal of something bigger shifting inside the entire organization from top to bottom. Suddenly, every driver on that roster is being watched a little more closely than before, with every comment scrutinized for hidden meaning. Rewind further, back to 2017. Larson once told the Open Red podcast that he hoped to move into full-time sprint car racing before turning 40. That dream has now been walked back completely, in his own words, years later. He said, "I would say right now in 2026 that I have changed my mind on that. I feel like I have accomplished a lot since I made those comments. I've been able to win 3 Knoxville Nationals, 3 Chili Bowls, and a King's Royal." He continued, laying out the practical weight behind that shift in thinking. "I just don't know what a championship would add to my career, so I'm just not into the idea now. Do I really want to commit to an 80 to 90 race schedule? That's way busier than I am now." A lifelong personal ambition, one he spoke about with excitement nearly a decade ago, has quietly been set aside, not because of failure or fading skill behind the wheel, but because of fatherhood and the demanding schedule it requires. When the news broke, fans initially misread it as an imminent retirement announcement, and reaction spread fast across Reddit and X within hours. On Reddit, Big Chief 1029 admitted, "Headline scared me a little bit." Username 13208 echoed that same panic, writing, "My heart sank. I was like, what did I miss?" Immediate Lies 7810 offered a more analytical take, saying they could see Larson retiring within the next few years, given his growing ties to sprint car promotion and his kids starting to race competitively themselves. Big Meech 99 stirred further debate, suggesting getting out before 40 could become the new norm in cup racing going forward. On X, the tone shifted noticeably compared to the panic on Reddit. Matt Weaver clarified that Larson's comments weren't a retirement announcement, calling it instead a long-term life update from a driver thinking years ahead. Bob Pockras reinforced that age 40 is a checkpoint, not a deadline, pushing back against the more dramatic interpretations. Jeff Gluck noted a philosophical shift, observing that Larson's focus has moved from chasing a sprint car title to simply enjoying balance in his day-to-day life. The fan base split 3 distinct ways, some panicking, some defending, and some already speculating about a broader Hendrick exodus in the years ahead. Then came the voices of racing royalty, adding real weight to a story that had started as fan speculation online. Denny Hamlin said, "No one should blame a driver for putting family first," adding that Larson has earned that right to decide his own path forward on his own terms. Dale Earnhardt Jr. offered a more personal reflection, noting that having kids start racing changes a driver's entire perspective on the sport, and that he understood exactly where Larson was coming from, having lived something similar himself. 2 legends of the sport, calm and measured, standing in sharp contrast to the panicked reactions that had flooded social media just hours earlier. Zooming back out, Larson remains winless through 2026, with the chase looming and this retirement conversation swirling around every single appearance he makes at the track. A 5-year contract through 2031. A self-imposed evaluation point at 40. A teammate already walking away early from the same team. A family that could change everything overnight without warning. Is this the beginning of the end for one of NASCAR's most dominant modern champions? Or is this simply a father being honest about his priorities, while a 5-year contract sits untouched in the background, unaffected by any of it? One thing is certain, the countdown has already started, and nobody, not even Kyle Larson himself, knows exactly where it ends. If you enjoy real NASCAR breakdowns like this, you'll like what's coming next. Drop your takedown in the comments. Do you think Larson walks away at 40, or does he race well past it into his mid-40s? Share this video with another NASCAR fan who needs to see this story unfold for themselves.